Right, welcome to this faction update video here. I've done it as a separate video because it might be quite long. I don't mean it to. I'll go through these as quick as I can. 14 armies here that I have up and running. So a lot of people were saying, what about this army, what about that army, what's the situation with them? So I'll do an update here right at the start of the season and the start of the year to give you an idea of what to expect. So there has been disruption because we shifted over to 8th edition. So I had to change the armies around. That affected some of the factions, and then now chapter approved has come along. That's then affected virtually all of the factions again. So I'm getting armies up to chapter approved level as quick as I can. Some are finished. They are chapter approved points, adjusted, finished, ready to fight, which is great news. I've got a couple of others just need a few changes and they'll be ready, and some others that need a fair bit of work. If you want to keep track of the factions, then on the Plus channel at the moment there is what I've called army adjustment videos, and that's for factions that are virtually ready. Then chapter approved means there's been some points reductions, so I propose just an adjusted list. You can see that on the Plus channel. I've been doing those as double factions in each of those videos. And then also army development, that's where you'll see lists proposed for all of the factions that I'm reworking and restructuring to get them ready to fight. So that's the best way of keeping up to date with what's going on with all of the factions. So in no particular order, just the order that they were stacked here in my pile. Craftworld's Eldar. Currently running a brand new list. It's an adjustment from the this is the most controversial list that I have at the moment. It's the one that's faced the most flack, the one that's been condemned the most by a lot, especially angry Eldar players. I've not been doing Eldar a good service, and I've stubbornly sort of stuck to this list here. I've made an enhanced edition of this controversial list. You'll see it on episode 2 of season 7, fighting there on the Plus channel, Striking Scorpion 82, plus.vhx.tv. It's free of charge to watch for everybody, so if you want to see the episode, it's on the Plus channel, but I've made it free to the public, so you can go and watch what happens there as the Craft World Eldar list, the new list that I have, takes on the Death Watch Space Marines. It's virtually finished. I have a couple of finishing touches to do to some Shining Spears, and I have a modifications due to a character, and then this faction's finished. And that's finished to chapter approved 2018 level, so all the points are correct and so on, fully updated, ready to go. So this is one of the factions that's well, it's there, it's sorted and ready to go for season 7. So good news about the Eldar. So hopefully they'll do better. If it is a disaster, yes, I'll end up changing the list, but I'm giving one last throw of the dice for the Craft World Eldar controversial list. Right, Blood Angels is next. Again, they were finished for 8th edition, and it's a brand new list for them. You'll see that again in the army development video proposed there. Virtually that list is seen in the double episode I filmed against the Necrons. I think that was virtually the list. So you'll see how I did in both of those. One episode on YouTube, one episode on the Plus channel. I've since updated the list, decided what I'm going to go for, I have the model and started painting. It's one model required, and then this faction will be ready at the chapter approved 2018 level, so hope to see those soon in games as well. And I think it's a much better list now, one of the much stronger lists for Blood Angels. They are an army to keep a lookout for, and it's great news for Blood Angel players who have over the years had a bit of a rough time with weaker codexes and so on, but I think the list I have is pretty good, so that's good news for them. Maybe just bring these over it. Next is the Tyranids. The level I'm at, miniatures, models is fine, got a big collection of these sort of apocalypse levels, so that's great news. Had a good spread of battles from those throughout the last season, which is great news. Different lists, I had sort of a theme for a list. I've got a new idea for a list for these. I think it's a better list for sure. So the great thing is I plan to bring an army development video out for these quite soon, and then much of that list is models I already have. It may require a few more models, but they're quite quick to paint, so this is an army that I should be fine. Should be able to get these into games pretty quick. And even if I don't have this brand new list idea finished, I can just put a list together for models that I have, and still be a good list, I reckon. So no problem at all with the Tyranids. Great to have them. They're sort of the enemies of everybody type armies. It's great to have them in games. So that's them. Next is what was the secret project, but it's all in the public domain now. It's the Thousand Suns. So for these, some serious points reductions for chapter approved. Proposed an adjustment for them and have made a decision for the final model. Just need one more model to add to this list. You saw these being used a lot just after they were released on YouTube, so there's a good few games of those on YouTube to watch, and loads of battles with these on the Plus channel. The last model I'm getting, I can let you know, it's just sitting here, and it's going to be another Mauler Fiend, the third one. So 1, 2, 3 Mauler Fiends in this list. I've basically got to paint one more Mauler Fiend, and these guys are chapter approved, ready to go. So you can see here I've got a good number of armies that are ready to go. And what happens, usually what happens, if I've got a game coming up, I'll just quickly paint up the model and get it sorted out. So that one should be fine. And great to have the Thousands. I've been one of the most enjoyable armies I've used last season. Very much enjoyed using them. Really did. Great, very different take on them compared to the way other factions play. Space Marines. So I have 2 on the go from here. First is Imperial Fists, and the other is the Red Scorpions Primaris army. So for the Red Scorpions, I have maybe about 750 odd points painted up, and the aim's to get to 2,000 points. So what I reckon with these, they're quite quick to paint, which is good news, and have a good number of models sprayed up and based and ready to paint. So with a bit of effort, I reckon I could try and get these to 1,500 points quite soon, and that means you can start seeing them playing pure Red Scorpions, and on either of the channels. They could appear on either of the channels, but to let them start standing by themselves at about 1,500 points I'll aim for. It could be less, could be 1,250, but 1,500 is a pretty good size to start seeing these being painted up. They're not too complicated to paint, which is great news. The technique that I use, you'll see it, there's a painting tutorial for them here on YouTube and an in-depth painting tutorial on the Plus channel. The process is pretty straightforward. You can crack out some units pretty quick with these. So I would say they're an army that's halfway there for the Red Scorpions. So I wouldn't say anytime soon, but not an army that's going to be put off for a long time, I very much doubt. Next would be the Imperial Fists. That's a larger collection that I have. I do have 2,000 points worth, not more. I'm going to propose a new list for them. It's been heavily affected by chapter approved. Some key units have taken some points reductions, and I really want to add some units that I needed to paint. I'm going to drop those, and it means I need to paint some less units to get these up and running, to get the Imperial Fists out there and ready to go. So just a restructure, and then a quicker route to getting them onto the table because there's less models to paint, and a stronger list as well. So that's the plan with the Imperial Fists, and again I'd say they're about 2/3 of the way there to making a comeback. So it's difficult choices. What do I go for here? Red Scorpions or Imperial Fists? Should I focus on them? But I sort of keep it as a hobby. So if I take a notion for Imperial Fists, then I'll put some effort into them. But it shouldn't be too much effort to get those back out onto the battlefield. I do want to rebase the Tactical Marines, get them onto the proper 32mm bases. That's quite straightforward to do. Just get them fully looking exactly as they should be. So that's the plan for Imperial Fists. I'm treading a little bit careful because I know that the next codex, or the next army that's going to be improved once Games Workshop finish, these are going to be either first in the line or very high up near first. So wondering, do I put loads of effort and polish off and finish an army, and then all of a sudden Games Workshop say, oh yeah, new codex. So I've got to watch out for that as well. But anyway, those two factions, not too bad for those. Right, yeah, Space Wolves. Okay, so this army's been painted on commission by Siege Studios. They did an excellent job of the army. I played a few games with them, and they didn't do too well. So then went and proposed a new list over on the Plus channel. which I think is a vast improvement. The stage I'm at with these, I need to go through the list again. Chapter approved. There's been some points reductions. Reshape that list. I'll probably do that in an army adjustment video, and then add in, probably paint up the models myself, I think, and then add in the new units and get that up to 2,000 points. Chapter approved. Not too much effort required for that. A couple of units. I'm hoping just a couple of units here and there, and then these will be ready to go. So hoping to, have no fear. These shouldn't be shelved. They should be fine. So that's the Space Wolves. I mean, we enjoyed playing the games with those. James enjoyed using the Space Wolves. Sort of it let him be like a Space Marine player, but like a play more aggressively sort of style. So they're great fun to use. Enjoyed using the Space Wolves. Next is Imperial Knights. A faction that could come crashing onto the scene here for Season 7. I have received news that the biggest and deadliest unit for my list is complete. These are being painted up by, it was Lego Fingers, it's now Grey Fox Studios. I'm looking forward to receiving the latest model in the post. That'll push these up to about 1,400 points, I would say. It's a huge leap ahead. It means this army's about 2/3 done, and and the painting turnaround there from Grey Fox Studios is fast, and so very excited about these. So again, the whole army's been painted up, commissioned by him, and that's going to be quite a force to be reckoned with, I hope. So the list is out there, structured, happy with the points, ready to go. I reckon a couple more models, sort of large, I know they're larger, but a couple more models to go, and this list will be ready. So the best way to keep track of them, Instagram's good. I'll put pictures up of different things, and then also Tactica videos. So I'm doing a Tactica video for each of the different knights that I will have in the list. Some of them are already up there, like the Armiger class knights. Their Tactica videos up. Knight Paladin, that's up there, and then so you can keep track of the different models as they're painted up and ready to go. But these should make a impact, hopefully quite early on for Season 7. Imperial Knights, a pure Imperial Knight army. That's they could stomp through everybody. A bit scared about them. Next up, right, Harlequins. A faction that, yes, has been neglected. So for a number of reasons. Reason number one, they take ages to paint. They do take forever. I don't want to do a fast technique on these. I want to paint them up nicely. I'm going for the colour scheme that you see here on the front. I do have a number of units painted up, maybe about 500 points finished. So I've made a start. I have all of the models for them, so that's not a problem. So I do plan to make a painting tutorial for YouTube for these. So it'll be for like one of the infantry, and then I hope to make an in-depth paint tutorial on the Plus channel for one of the vehicles. One of the things that's held me back, and I've been researching, and that's how to paint the vehicles and do an effective technique for all those diamond effects that you see on the front. It's a difficult task, and I want to try and get a process that's effective and as fast as possible. These are one of the more intricate armies to paint. I am excited about these more than most of the factions. I really love the Harlequins, and I have to admit I've been going through the Codex a lot recently, so the urge is there to get these done. It's a big task though. I desperately don't want to leave them for a season. They need to get out there quick, so I would like to make some significant progress of these as soon as I can. Got a great list for them proposed on the Plus channel. They've been hardly affected by chapter approved. It's only the fusion pistol that's changed in points, so that's not been an issue. So the structure of the army has hardly been affected. Just a case of painting the models, getting them done, getting them out there on the battlefield. So again, if you try and get to 1,500 points, start playing them in games on both of the channels. I could even link them in with some Eldar or Dark Eldar allies. That's a possibility, but I want to do pure Harlequins. That's the big aim. So do the best I can with them, but I certainly do not want to shelve the Harlequins. I mean, I just think of the different games that could be played. Harlequins against Ultramarines. Harlequins taking on the Thousand Sons in a fight. Harlequins against the Orcs or the Tau or the Admech. Some Or again, I'd love to do Harlequins against Imperial Knights. Just some great lineups if I get an army of these sorted out. So very, very exciting project to be taking on. I've always wanted to do, as soon as the plastics came out for Harlequins, incredible. Some of my most favourite models across the entire 40k range. So really need to get them up and running as soon as I can. Next is the Tau Empire, the winners of Season 6 battle reports. They did it in style. I've got a name, actually, now for the commander. It's Commander Ghost Tide. That's an amalgamation of different suggestions that people made. It had asked different subscribers to make suggestions for names on both of the channels. And Ghost Tide, so it's a very Tau sort of sounding name. And it matches in the way this commander plays, and that's where you'll notice in the different games, especially the more recent games, this commander would move aggressive towards the opponent, fire off the quadruple fusion blasters, and then using vector maneuvering thrusters, especially in the last two battles, pull away and disappear. So, like a ghost that appears and then disappears, and like the tide that goes in and then goes out, I thought Ghost Tide is a perfect match to the style that commander is. So Commander Pinpoint is long gone, so Ghost Tide is the new commander of his quadruple fusion blasters for the Tau. So great to have a name for that character. So again, chapter approved, some serious points reductions for the Tau, so even stronger they should be, with some new units added in. I have made a decision, proposed in an army adjustment video, proposed multiple options for the units to take. I like all of the ideas and may well experiment with all the different units at some stage, but I have made a final decision for these. It's one unit to paint to bring these up to chapter approved. Should be no problem at all. Tau, quite a quick faction to paint, no problem, so they shouldn't be held back at all. Great news for the Tau to see them back. Almost there. Adeptus Mechanicus, perhaps the biggest points reductions across the list that I had out of all of them so far. So proposed multiple ideas, again, in an army adjustment video, and I think I've made a final decision. One model required, I think, to get these up to chapter approved 2018. So these performed very well. A lot of people saying they weren't very good, and my choice of units wasn't very good, but they got a lot of victories last season. So the AdMech are one of the stronger factions, and now with the point savings and the extra units being added in, some a bit more kick to this force. So excited about that. One model, and these are ready to go. So should be no problem for them. Next is the Necrons here. Mixed results from these. People say they are one of the weaker codexes, so I'm working on a new list for them at the moment. I think it will be an army adjustment video. It'll be an adjustment from the current list, so I plan to talk about these in the army adjustment, a forthcoming one over on the Plus channel, and I think it will be a stronger list. They took some points reductions again, which will be a help for this list, so keep a lookout for an updated Necron army in the future. But the list I'm going to propose potentially is models that I have already entirely, so I can propose the list and then just go for it, get them out in game straight away. So great news for the Necrons. Got a bit of a depth of a collection for them, so I'm able to draw on models that I haven't been using as much in 8th edition, bring back some units that haven't been being used, and then immediately have an army that's ready to go. So they are virtually proposing to propose a list and then get the list out there. So great news for the Necrons. Then Drukhari is the list that people have been asking about the most. So there is a brand new list proposed for them on the Plus channel in an army development video. That was posted a while back. I'm still very happy with that list proposition. And so, see, what's held these back is I could go for a list made up of the units that I have. And I could do that, just a few experimental games. But the list I proposed, I think, is pretty strong. But it requires a number of units to be painted to make it work. And so that sort of held me off. What's held me off getting this one done is getting these other factions up and running. So I've got a few models to paint, and then I can get the brand new list and the brand new army out there for the Drukhari, but they've not been shelved. I know they've been left for a while. These have sort of been at the bottom, along with Harlequins, been left at the bottom of the pile, but by no means neglected at all. There's a great list I have for these. Very, very happy with this new list I've got structured for them. And again, the painting process is not too bad, so hopefully a few units get them painted up and they should make a comeback as well. To be realistic, middle of the season, I think, for them, and Harlequins as well. I just don't want to get people's hopes up. You're going to see them next week in a game. Last but not least is the Orcs. They've played 2 games already for Season 7. Their list is finished and it's updated. Well, there was no changes for chapter approved, so I just immediately went straight into games with them. So great news for the Orcs, and those of you that enjoy using or enjoy watching the Orcs here on YouTube and on the Plus channel as well. Orcs have got stuck in straight away, so that's the army you may well see in some of the early games on both of the channels. That's a strong list. I think they've been doing very well indeed, but as yet there's a lot of factions and new lists for different factions. This new Orc list is yet to take on, so it'll still be a big test for them, but so far so good. So Gut Ripper's a happy war boss at the moment. So that is all of the factions there. It's just to give you an idea of where I'm at with the different factions there. The good news is none of them have fallen out of favour. I do enjoy all of the armies that I have. It's just that it's a hobby and you just paint one unit at a time. So I have to sort of, I've been prioritising armies where they just need a small amount of work done. Been trying to get those done first, so I have a good spread straight away of armies that are able to play, and then focus on some of these factions that need more work. Not always the case. I may well take a notion just to plough ahead with one of these more neglected factions. So there's hope for all of them for sure, but my aim is to try and get them all featured this season if I can. That's the plan, and I'll do the best that I can to bring these out onto the battlefield. So that's the update for all of the factions here. I should mention James actually, and Aaron as well, because his armies are going to be featuring in the seasonal battle reports. Aaron Allen has Death Guard and Death Watch. His Death Watch army is complete, but he may well make some changes with that. But it's there at 2,000 points, and then his Death Watch or his Death Guard Chaos Space Marines, virtually at 2,000 points, is he's getting close to finishing that at that level as well. So keep a look out for those 2 factions being introduced and used on in the seasonal battle reports as well. It's an exciting development to have those 2 factions represented as well. And then for James, he runs the Astra Militarum. So yeah, he's no worries for points. He'll see them straight away, because he's it's probably the largest collection actually. I'm thinking now, him and his Ultramarines, the Guard and the Ultramarines would be the biggest, I would say, on the level of the Tyranids. So no problem for James's Astra Militarum. So they'll be in, and so will the Ultramarines. Massive collection of those. James is still expanding the collection, but he can field a 2,000 points list, all sorts of different types of lists, no problem at all. So great news for both of those factions. Is he working on anything else? Well, you'll have to ask him on his own channel to see what he's up to, but you may well see some other factions possibly from James. We'll see. And then he enjoys using all of the armies that I have as well, especially the Imperial forces that I have. The Admech he enjoys using. The Tau, he doesn't like them very much. He'll use the Imperial Knights, no problem at all. Enjoys using Space Wolves, and he'll gladly command the Red Scorpions and the Imperial Fists and the Blood Angels as well. No problem at all. And he likes dabbling with Tyranids as well a fair bit. So James will happily help out using those lists as well. So there it is. That's the update then. Just giving you an idea of what's going on with the different factions. Maybe do another update another time for these, but that should give you an idea of what's to take place here for Season 7, just to give you an idea of the structure and what to expect from these different lists. There it is, that's the video. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time.